It seems today that all you see is violence in movies and sex on TV, but where those good old-fashioned values on which we used to rely? Hey, Wolfpack, we're back with another surprise tier list. This time doing a little bit of a short one before we quadruple down on the horror-related tier list, but I decided let's do Family Guy's Road to episodes. Hi everyone, hey Cat, hey Light Jones, AV Scorpio, how is everyone? Doing fine. Gonna do a more lighthearted, shorter tier list because I'm currently editing a big review right now for the spooky season, so I decided to do a much smaller tier list than one of the bigger ones. Ooh, this ought to be good. Hey, John Smith, glad you made it. Yep, gonna be talking about all the Road to episodes from the classic Family Guy. Family Guy used to be one of the funniest cartoons of all time. It was funny, it was cool, it was creative, and it entertained you. However, over the years it has gotten much worse, but one of the highlights is the Road to episodes. Basically, Brian Griffin, the talking dog, and Stewie Griffin, the hyper-intelligent evil genius baby, go on wacky buddy comedy road trip adventures and travel to a lot of extraordinary places, get into wacky hijinks, and learn a little lesson about themselves along the way. Have a lot of great hits and some disappointments here and there, but I'll be ranking all of their Road to specials. These used to be a highlight for Family Guy. Then they kind of stopped making them because Seth MacFarlane quit writing for the show. Yes, these Road to are mostly good, others not really the best. Yeah, so Family Guy used to be laugh out loud hilarious. The original 3 seasons and a bit of the revival seasons were really good. They were funny, they were entertaining, and they loved crossing the line, often for our amusement. The Road to Adventures, definitely one of the biggest highlights ever. However, Family Guy has really lost its quality. It's not a good show anymore, and somewhere along the line, they kind of lost their way completely. Like, it's not even offensive or unwatchable, but just boring. There's some god-awful episodes. I think the Meg Griffin episode about her home abuse, that was definitely one of the low points of the show. And yeah, Family Guy's just not funny anymore. But we're here to talk about the positives of Family Guy, their Road to adventures. Brian Griffin and Stewie Griffin used to be the funniest characters of the show alongside Peter Griffin, and they had a lot of funny bro trips together where Brian and Stewie used to hate each other, but slowly grew to love each other and become best buddies, basically. We see Brian and Stewie are paired up very often, and the Road to episodes were definitely the start of that budding friendship. Just made it. Hey, Anime Night, I love these episodes. It gave character development for Brian and Stewie. Yeah, a lot of the good ones did. We will be ranking them all up here on this tier list. Believe it or not, this is all the Road to episodes. Yeah, we do include Back to the Pilot because basically that is a Road to episode, and I wanted to end on a high note because the last official one was not very good. I'll be ranking every one of their wacky Road to adventures up on this tier list from top best to bottom worst. So let's go over the rules if this is your first tier list ever. Up top, we have S tier. These ones, the perfect ones, the golden boys, the 10 out of 10 adventures, some of the funniest Family Guy Road to trips ever. I love them, the fans love them, and they are full-blown great entertainment. They will be up here on S tier for the bestest ever. Underneath that, we have A. These ones, good, not great. Have a lot of funny moments. They're definitely entertaining. They're very watchable. I can see other people listing them as their favorite episodes. They're definitely decent, but they might have a flaw or two here and there. Namely, we're all familiar with Family Guy's extended, overly long jokes, some of which kind of bring their episodes down, and yeah, some of the later ones suffered this, but A, definitely good, just not perfect. Then, right smack in the middle, we have B. These ones, okay, they're serviceable, they're watchable, they're average. They had a lot of good going for them, but an equal amount of bad. Might have just been a dull Road to adventure, but I would say they're alright. Definitely Silver Skull turf. Underneath that, we have C tier. These ones are weak. There was definitely an interesting adventure there, but it didn't quite live up to its full potential, or just not that funny. These ones, the lame ducks, the forgettable ones, the Road to adventures that didn't leave that high a mark. Then at rock bottom, we have D tier. Yeah, believe it or not, we're not doing an F tier. D, duds. They're lame, not even worth watching. Basically, the bad, just plain bad, because The Road to hasn't gotten offensively god-awful, but basically, it's a dud. It's a 0 out of 10. Don't watch it, don't recommend it. It's the weakest Road to adventure, and sadly, we might see 1 or 2 down here at rock bottom. But yeah, gonna be ranking them all. We got all of them from the first one, Road to Rhode Island, to the last one, Road to India, plus extra. How's everyone? We're fine. Cool. Thanks, V Scorpio. Yeah, this ought to be good. Are you recovered from watching the show that shall not be named? I mean, Mindy Kaling's abortion. Yeah, I am. Trying to do something positive here. Just made it. Good, just in time, Anime Nights. I love these episodes. It gave character development for Brian and Stewie. Yeah, they were. Family Guy stopped being good around 2010. Yeah, I think the pinpoint for me was, and then there were fewer. That's where the show got pretty bad. We had like one good one each season, but yeah, a lot more god-awful, unwatchable crap. And it doesn't help that Seth MacFarlane kind of quit the show. It's because they do too much parody, not any original plot. Yeah, that was kind of a weakness. I say the last good episodes were definitely the Star Wars parodies. Yeah, they were, though. It's a Trap was not as funny as Something Dark Side. It's a Trap had a lot more dull and boring moments. Some outrageously funny moments, of course, but I don't think they really lived up to the greatness the first two had. But yeah, the Star Wars parodies, those were definitely hype. This ad won't go away. Well, even Seth has said season 4 is supposed to be the last season of Family Guy, even though it was previously the third one, but he was willing to squeeze another one out, but Fox still wants more. Yeah, Seth kind of stopped writing for the show. MacFarlane's doing a ton of other things. Like we see he's working on American Dad, he was working on the Cleveland show around this time, he's working on the Orville, the one good Star Trek show out right now, and he had all those Ted movies, currently working on the live-action Ted show. Haven't watched it, I heard a lot of people do like it though. Hey Kat, hey Akira. Some moments are good, such as the musical numbers. Those were in every episode, except for Germany. So, Road to tier list. Oh, looks so cool. Yeah, gonna be talking about all the Road to episodes. Just catch up on comments. Like maybe we could save Poison Ivy tier list on her birthday or Earth Day. Maybe. Yeah, I wanted to do one more funny, light-hearted tier list before we quadruple down on all the horror-related tier lists. If you're curious, I do have my next tier list plan. We're going to be ranking Scarecrow and the Resident Alice movies. If you know what I'm talking about, then you get excited. Road to Rhode Island should be on S tier, no doubt about it. Yeah, just catch up my comments. Road to India is the only one I absolutely hate. Yeah, we'll get to that. At the end of the day, the cutaway gags is what it inevitably was going to kill Family Guy. The cutaway gags used to be funny, alright? Oh no. Yeah, Shadowlink, you heard what tier list is next? Also, I have a fun in my in-person art class. I learned how to paint like ink. Okay, good for you, Akira. I hope I don't get my ink drawing give me brush with madness. When will the Power Rangers Allies tier list be created? That one might be on hold a bit because I'm going to be doing a lot more horror-related tier lists come October. But thank y'all for joining us. Let's finally start this tier list with the first ever Road to adventure, Road to Rhode Island. And the first one going on to S tier. Was there really any doubt? Road to Rhode Island is absolutely hilarious. This is easily one of my top 10 favorite Family Guy episodes. It's funny, it's emotional, it's creative, and it's so quotable. There are so many funny jokes. So, Stewie is on vacation with the grandparents, Carter Pewterschmidt and his wife in Palm Springs, and Brian Griffin is undergoing some personal trauma. Brian Griffin is attending therapy back when he actually cared about helping himself, and he realizes he has issues with his mother. He needs to confront his mom and get over his emotional pain. Ask her why. Why did she abandon him? Why didn't she love him enough to keep him? And get some closure. Brian volunteers to go to Palm Springs to pick up Stewie, and along the way they stop at the farm where his mother lived, where he was raised, and he wants to get some answers. But of course, everything goes wrong, a lot of things happen, and a lot of wacky mishaps happen. Brian gets drunk, he loses their bags because their tickets were in the bags, they can't fly a plane, and they travel across the road on foot, basically, encountering a lot of wacky characters and troubles along the way, and Yeah, it's hilarious. It is so hilarious. Stewie is like the downer cynic, and he's always calling Brian out. Oh, what a surprise! Cirrhosis the Wonder Dog. I'm not drunk. I just have. I'm just tired, and I have a stomach virus and an inner ear infection. Yeah, Brian gets wasted and Stewie has to drag him. They get a crappy motel and meet that guy who has like the blunt instrument he uses to beat deadbeats with bad credit cards. Really classic. Fantastic episode in general. A lot of funny moments and even some emotional moments like Brian dealing with his mother. Exactly. There actually is a heart in this story. Brian has some issues with his mom. He was given away as a puppy and his mom didn't save him. This caused him to have a lot of trauma and he grows like an ego and a hardened shell because deep down he's still crying for his mom to love him. And while they're going by, he finds out his mom lives in Austin. They hilariously get off the bus instead to walk. Well, you know what this means, right? Yeah. And Brian has to carry Stewie on his back. Really funny stuff. There is a B plot in this one. Peter and Lois are also having relationship problems, and Lois buys a tape with a therapist that allegedly can help them save their marriage. And hilariously, it turns out to be porno. It's like a porno. This lady poses as a doctor, and she's really a porn star, basically giving men some titillation and profiting off of their doomed marriage. And Peter falls for it hook, line, and sinker. Dr. Amanda Rebecca became a fan favorite for a lot of characters, and it's not at all hard to see why. I love it. It's like something out of American Pie and Harold and Kumar. Really enjoyable stuff. When will the created Rangers Allies tier list be created? Or when will the Power Rangers Allies tier list be created? I don't know. These things sometimes happen. So dark. Like I did send the new music idea for the review. Yeah, you did. I saw the death battle. Honestly, I didn't really like it all that much. Remember the subplot where Peter gets addicted to a video and acts like a naughty video, only to learn that Lois got these videos to help her be more sexy? Yeah, get out. This is the part just for the men. Yeah, really, this subplot actually hilarious. Much better than a later Peter and Lois subplot in one of these Road 2 episodes, but yeah, it's really enjoyable and once again has heart because Lois wants to be hot for Peter and yeah, it sort of works. Now he's addicted to porn of his wife on the TV, but that's really funny. So basically, Brian and Stewie make it to the farm after a lot of wacky misadventures, and they find out the mom died. So we had her stuffed. Yeah, the old farmer, the Flying Dutchman, and his wife apparently lost Brian's mother years ago, but told him that, oh, his mom always loved him. She was proud of all her puppies. But the mom's dead, and she was converted into a taxidermy table. But Brian and Stewie decide to give her a proper burial, leading to a lot more dark comedy. But Brian finally getting some closure. Like when he breaks off her tail. Oh, relax. Not like the old girl has anything to wag about these days. Yeah, Stewie pretty much treats it like a complete joke. Oh, someone must have said a funny because your mom's in stitches. I'll leave you to grieve. Really enjoyable stuff, but it actually ends on a nice note. They give Biscuit a proper burial, and Brian and Stewie actually have a heart-to-heart while they're riding a train back to Rhode Island, and it leads to the first musical number, Road to Rhode Island. This is like one of the top 10 favorite Family Guy songs ever, and yeah, pretty good. It shows Seth MacFarlane can sing. Really lighthearted, enjoyable, and Stewie and Brian begin their friendship in this episode, which is why it's so special. Though it does end on another comedic note where they get back and Stewie makes it seem like Brian's gonna be a slave, but no, he wants him to tape a Full House episode or something. But Stewie and Brian are friends, and Chris fails to surprise Meg with the "what am I thinking of?" It's definitely not Kitty. Yeah, this one, it's funny, I like it, it's enjoyable, it's a classic, one of my favorite episodes of all time. Road to Rhode Island, definitely S tier, and gave a positive start to this entire series. Yeah, I read that. The manatees need some more balls. South Park, I know what you're referencing. One of my favorite moments is when Brian enters the house and we see a maid getting arrested. Can someone tell me what happened? If you missed that anime night, Stewie framed the maid for stealing the grandma's pearl necklace because Stewie's like bored at the grandparents' house, and this was back when Stewie was full-blown evil. He stole the grandma's pearl necklace and threw it in the maid's pocket, and she's getting arrested because they believe she was a thief. Basically, it was Stewie doing some dark, twisted amusement. I didn't know Biscuit as a dog, but I did know her as a table. She was very sturdy. Thanks, that's enough. We got a friendship moment where Brian thanks Stewie for not ratting him out for the trouble he got them into. Yeah, that was actually a pretty sweet moment. I feel bad for the pet parents, like Ollie, my cat, is an orphan with his 4 cat sisters. Oh, that is sad. We're Rhode Island bound. Actually, it's a Brady Bunch one. Okay, my mistake. Yeah, Brady Bunch. Yeah, remember that episode where Greg became his slave? Yeah, it's on for me. Can you tape it this afternoon? Oh, and put a nice label on it, please. Also, I like Death by Bloom since it looks cool for a Poison Ivy top 10. Maybe. Still my favorite musical number of Family Guy. Yeah, the song really slaps. It is a good song. It's very nice, very friendly, and actually has a lot of funny jokes in it. Brian and Stewie actually banter off very well with each other, to the point where the songs became a running gag in the entire Road 2 saga. Yeah, we're gonna get a lot more musical numbers, and some that point out that they don't have one as a joke, but yeah, it kind of started the trend that Family Guy could actually do pretty good musicals, and Road to Rhode Island definitely one of the highest musical numbers. I lied, I knew about the maid, I just wanted to hear you explain it. Okay, yeah. This is back when Stewie was evil. Back when he was funny, Stewie was kind of like a cross between Eric Cartman and Bart Simpson. He was, once again, kind of a bad boy type of character, and it used to be funny, but then they decided to make him like an annoying gay stereotype. It has its moments, but it's not as fun as Evil Genius Stewie. Okay, so Road to Rhode Island, definitely going to S tier. And much to our surprise, they did make a sequel, next one being Road to Europe. And yeah, this one's also going on to S tier. Road to Europe. Stewie wants to find his favorite children's show, Jolly Farm, but he finds out the company films Jolly Farm in Europe, where he runs away during Brian's babysitting, and Brian chases after him, where they get into a wacky road trip across Europe, trying to get to London. And yeah, once again, it is hilarious. It honestly, some might argue it's funnier than Road to Rhode Island, but I just love the first one so much. This one, still S tier. It is funny. It is great. Has a lot of quotable jokes, funny moments. They hilariously somehow end up in the Middle East. A lot of crazy antics in this one too. And the B plot, also really one of the funniest ones. So if you're curious, Peter and Lois go to Kiss stock, and yeah, it is funny because Lois is actually not a Kiss fan, and Peter is a hardcore Kiss soldier, and he's following the Kiss band, and we see a lot of funny stuff with Peter and Lois on the sidelines. I will say, Peter and Lois actually had some funny B-plots in these Road 2 adventures, and the Kiss one's one of my favorite one. Kiss is coming to Rhode Island. It means, come on, Peter, you know it is. Let me think. It means we can do something. And like, when Peter's at the dentist, we can go to Kiss stock! Ah! He accidentally hits the dentist in the eye with the dental drill. Really hilarious. Seth MacFarlane can sure sing with himself, lol. Yeah, he can. Seth MacFarlane is a talented singer and voice actor. I just wish he would bring his A game to everything he does. Like, could we use Road to Rhode Island music and clips for future review? Oh, probably. I just gotta find the right moment. Looks so cool. We are believed a TV show is real and wanted to go there. Yeah, we all believed that. Like the UK is good with Doctor Who and bad with their age restrictions. They're not good with Doctor Who anymore. Okay. Alright, so Stewie basically sees this Teletubbies-like show, Jolly Farm. He sees like an angel girl, a lot of happy children, the Pengro the pig who reads stories to all the kids, and everyone's having fun in the time of their life. Stewie believes it's actually real, so he sets on a trek to Europe, where Brian is reluctantly dragged along, and Honestly, there's a lot more funny, wacky scenarios in this one, which is why I can see why people like it more, because this was where we had crazy cartoonish Family Guy. My brother Wolf and I always crack up at the airplane scene where they're all sitting on the plane. Couldn't this get any worse? You know what I hate about airline food? The peanuts. I mean, who are they trying to keep out of these things? And what's the deal with the razor blade shot in the bathroom? Are people actually shaving in there? Hi, Andy Dick here. Just want to load up my bags. Oh, wow, that's wacky. Yeah, all the weird stand-up comedians that show up on their plane ride. That scene was really classic. Oh, FYI, yes, Kiss, the actual band, did voice their characters for their Family Guy episode, and they're also pretty funny. The Kiss actually get some personality in here, too, and have some funny banter off of Peter and Lois. It's funny how Stewie assumed that the British family were going to England because of what they looked and acted like. Yeah, Stewie sneaks aboard with an English family. He poses as a English baby with them, and it turns out the plane landed in the Middle East. Once again, there is a song number here. They sing a song to distract the Middle Eastern merchants, and basically hijack a camel without paying for it. Yeah, it is pretty funny. Though it does lead to a parody of Empire Strikes Back where we have to slit it open and survive in its entrails or we're gonna die. Yeah, they do the tauntaun scene and actually go through with it like Stewie goes in there. Oh god, it's like Orson Welles' Autopsy. And Stewie actually likes it inside of the camel at first. Look, we gotta do it. Oh wait, there's a Comfort Inn. Really? Yeah, lucky for us, right? You know, it's actually not so bad in here. Yeah, Stewie likes living inside the camel for a brief second. Once again, really goofy scenarios. They take a hot air balloon. I like the visual gag where they're flying over Europe and it actually looks like a map you see in classrooms or in books or on a globe. Really creative. Such nice printing. Too bad we live in French Polynesia. Let's not forget the moment where the Germany tour guard refused to acknowledge World War II. Yeah, he's trying to censor World War II history, then turns into a full-blown Nazi at the end of it, saluting Hitler. Is that a beer hall? Oh yes, Germany was also famous for its beer halls. Really hilarious mood whiplash there. My brother Wolf really loves the B-plot where Peter and Lois meet Kiss, and Lois is exposed as a non-Kiss fan. I should have known you weren't a Kiss fan when you dressed as Peter Criss. Nobody wants to be Peter Criss, Lois, not even Peter Criss. And the spaceman and Peter Criss doing that really weird, charming musical number. Now's our chance, let's do it! And they sing this musical genre you would not associate Kiss with. Comedy like that is what really made the show gold. But it turns out Peter does forgive Lois because Lois used to date Gene Simmons before he changed his name. Apparently Gene used to be Hiram and they went to high school together, and Peter's actually proud because his wife dated the lead singer of Kiss. You are gods! Yeah, thanks, man. Really funny stuff, yeah. Peter realizes Lois was cool after all, and it saves their marriage, and they go on the Kiss forum. Really funny. Yeah, my wife did kiss. He's so proud of her, and it's a nice moment. Peter and Lois finally patch things up. Meanwhile, Stewie finally makes it to Jolly Farm and finds out the obvious twist. It's not real. It's all fake. It's all a show, and the actors are kind of either jerks or weirdos. Pengro Pig's this weird old guy who makes weird drawings, and the Mother Maggie is a total bitch off camera, and Stewie gets his reality completely shattered. It's not real, and he low-key gets some revenge. You want to take a dump in Mother Maggie's shoes? Okay, let's take a dump in Mother Maggie's shoes. Stewie accepts that Brian was right, and I guess Brian and Stewie patch things up because they're friends again, and he is thankful that Brian tried to help him and came with him all this way, even knowing it wasn't real. But at the end, Stewie, the Stewie who loves Jolly Farm, is dead. Meet the Stewie who loves funky fruit hats, and Stewie's got a new hobby. What happened? Andy Dick happened. Wherever that guy goes, everything becomes instant uncool. That was a really Kiss and Fairly Odd Parents wishology too, wasn't? Might need to reword that, John Smith. Okay. Road to Europe it is also a classic. It's funny, it's enjoyable, it's charming, it's another fun Brian and Stewie road trip. This time it focuses on Stewie instead of Brian, and we got a lot of great comedy from it, and the B-plot also really golden Family Guy moments. Love the Kiss stock plot, love the travel across Europe, and Brian and Stewie once again knock it out of the park. This one going on to S tier. So after that, Family Guy got cancelled, but then came back. I believe the next one is Road to Rupert, and this one, gonna put onto A. Okay, I know some people might be upset because Road to Rupert does have a lot of funny moments. It is enjoyable, it is watchable, it is a laugh out loud episode too, but not as good as the original two, and it does have one of my least favorite moments. This one has one of the longest Family Guy jokes ever, where Stewie goes on that dance number with Gene Kelly, and it lasts like 3 minutes. The weird scene, like, yeah, it looks cool. We see Stewie in live action dancing with this famous stage play guy, and it's a parody of like a Tom and Jerry skit, I believe, but it goes on for a while. That's like one of my least favorite jokes ever. If you're curious about the plot, basically, Stewie loses Rupert. The Griffins are having a yard sale, and Brian accidentally sells Stewie's prized teddy bear Rupert away. And it turns out the guy who bought him is actually moving out of town, leading to Stewie and Brian trying to chase him down and get Rupert back, traveling across America, and trying to find where this guy lives in order to buy Rupert back. And a lot of funny moments, a lot of insane humor, and there is some classic Family Guy charm here and there. Unfortunately, this one also has some of the warning signs that Family Guy was going downhill, some overly extended gags, a lot of the Meg abuse and the B-plot in this one, and Brian and Stewie doing a lot more political humor here and there. Okay, just reading the comments. So, Stewie is trying to chase Rupert down. We find out the guy lives in Colorado, and they travel across America. There are some funny moments here and there, like, I like when they go to the Civil War monument, and Stewie's telling a random black guy, hey, you're welcome. Just saying, a lot of people died for you, so, you know, appreciate what you got. All in all, I would say it was, they basically made amends. We're now fair and square. Nah, man, we gave a lot more. Really funny stuff. It was actually the 1945 musical movie Anchors Away, and this one had Jerry talk before Dana Hill did him in Tom and Jerry the movie. Yeah, oh, it did have him talk, okay. I know it was based off of a Tom and Jerry moment, didn't know what the movie was, but yeah, Jerry does a dance number with this guy, but Family Guy digitally re-edits and inserts Stewie in place of Jerry dancing with this musician guy, and my big problem is, this bit goes on forever. This is what they do in lieu of a musical number. They do an old-fashioned musical dance number. Brian and Stewie sing for like the first few seconds, then Stewie does a dance with this guy. It's like straight out of an animated movie, and they replace Jerry with Stewie. Granted, it does look good and it does look convincing, but the problem is, it goes on for a while. I swear this dance number lasts for like 3 minutes. That might not seem long, but for a Family Guy episode, that's a pretty big chunk to focus on it, and it's not really funny. Stewie doesn't really talk all that much, and it's just them and Stewie recreating the dance number. It lasts for a while, and there's not even any song lyrics sung in this part. It is just the guy and Stewie dancing for 3 minutes straight with no dialogue. It's a really weird scene, and it goes on pretty long. It's funny at first, but then when you realize they're doing the whole dance number, it starts to wear out its welcome. Yeah, the carjacking ending was golden, though. Yeah, that definitely did make up for it. So, they finally make it to the guy, and Stewie races him in a ski match. This guy's like a professional skier, and they want to race for the bear, and in exchange, he'll give Brian if he loses, which, yeah, is pretty funny. He'll eat food anywhere you drop it. Anywhere. Okay. Yeah, the family wants to adopt Brian next, and Stewie almost wins, but he cheats, and then he epic fails. The guy wins, and Stewie realizes maybe he should grow up and let Rupert go. Only to go, no, we're backtracking on all that. He's still not over Rupert, and they're not really gonna make Brian move with this family. They, like, Crone, like, he summons his butler, oh, Crone, and he just, like, throws hot coffee in his face, burning his eyes, and they steal the bear and run away. But the carjacking scene, yeah, that is pretty funny. How are we gonna get home? You still got your gun? Yeah? Get out of the car! Get out of the fucking car! Don't hurt me! Yeah, they like carjack some random guy and steal his ride all the way back to Rhode Island. Did we just carjack someone? Yeah. There's also a B plot in this one where Peter loses his driver's license by acting like an idiot, and he needs Meg to personally chauffeur him. Yeah, there's a B plot in Road to Rupert. Meg and Peter actually bond in this episode, and honestly, it's kind of sad rewatching this, realizing Peter and Meg actually grow as characters in this one. Meg, like, takes a lot of abuse from Peter and his dumbass friends. It's kind of funny at first, then they like set her on fire, and she beats up a random guy in primal rage. Then Peter realizes Meg is pretty cool, and Peter and Meg actually bond and become friends in this episode. Yeah, Peter and Meg actually become closer in this episode. He realizes Meg is pretty cool. Meg actually has fun with her dad, and she has fun being his chauffeur. They do wild stunts together, go on wacky adventures, and Peter actually shows Meg respect at the end of the episode. Though, this is where, like, the status quo comes in. He tells Meg that, you know, I'm gonna be mean to you still, but only to keep up appearances and, you know, protect my rep. But deep down, I still love you and look up to you. And, yeah, Peter goes back to being a jerk towards Meg, but, like, winks at her, hinting that he does cherish her deep down. And it's actually kind of nice ending, though they try to reestablish the status quo that, oh, Peter's still gonna be a jerk to Meg, but, you know, he cares about her deep down. This would be destroyed by later episodes of Modern Family Guy, and yeah, kind of made the B-plot a lot worse, especially rewatching it because it was back when the Griffins actually liked each other. We also got the devil moment from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah, that is funny. It's Devil Stewie. We see Stewie laughing as like an evil devil. That was a funny one. Oh, Crone. I hate politics, and I hate when shows get political. Yeah, this one kind of started diving into that a bit more. The Road episodes aired 5 years after the Road to Europe one. Wow, 5 years. We went that long without a Road to episode. Though to be fair, like, at least one of those years they were canceled. In the toy store, Brian mentions that if they buy a toy gorilla, they'll save it, but if we don't buy one, they'll kill one. Boy, these guys are really playing hardball. Yeah, they try to replace Rupert before Brian reveals that he accidentally sold him. Peter even having that mimic Lois gag that we haven't seen in a while. Yeah, that was funny. Okay, so Road to Rupert. This one does have funny moments. It is still a good episode. Has some jokes that kind of miss, and I do think the B-plot has kind of gotten worse with time because now we have jerk-ass Peter, and Meg abuse is now a lot more unwatchable now compared to it back then. But I still think it's a pretty good episode. It is a decent one. I'll put it onto A tier. Has a lot of funny moments, still has some quotable stuff. My least favorite joke, easily the musical section of this one, but the ending does kind of make up for that where they just carjack a guy. Honestly, I'll give it an A. It's definitely one of the decent Road to episodes, but it might be outclassed by the later ones coming up. Next, we have Road to Germany. This one I actually might put onto S tier. Go away, ads. Yep, we made it. Road to Germany. Brian and Stewie time travel back to World War II when Mort Goldman accidentally teleports himself back to Warsaw before it's invaded by the Nazis. And yeah, it is pretty funny. Brian and Stewie fighting Nazis, making fun of the Reich. It is definitely an S tier Family Guy episode. Oh yeah, watching Family Guy on streaming after Fox can be a bit jarring at times. After Fox can be a bit jarring at times. Yeah, definitely. Okay, now we're on to Road to Germany, back with a good episode. So this one actually has Mort Goldman tag along on their adventure. If you're curious, it's because Mort Goldman is a Jewish stereotype, making him an easy target for Nazis to take out. Mort needs to take a dump, and he accidentally uses Stewie's time machine, thinking it's a porta potty, but it teleports him back in time to Warsaw before the Germans invade. And Brian and Stewie find out, and they go after him. Like, Rick Moranis sings a recap to them. It's a really weird and out of nowhere scene. But yeah, Rick Moranis sings them a song explaining Mort the Jew accidentally went back in time. So Brian and Stewie go back to World War II and hilariously don't realize it's actually Germany before it's invaded. I do love the cow, how they find out it's Europe. Where are we? Yazoo! Well, we must be somewhere in Europe. Yeah, it's from a cutaway gag where Stewie is playing with a European edition of his talking animal toy. Road to Germany was fun. Yeah, it definitely was. Give us a pound or we'll have to pull the trigger. Yeah, so they go back in time, and I did find this scene funny where Mort Goldman thinks he's in the afterlife, but they tell him he time traveled, but Mort convinces them, hey, is there really any harm in staying? I want to see my ancestor's wedding, and Brian and Stewie decide, you know what, why not? We want to see a happy Jewish ceremony firsthand. Let's do it. And they stay there, and they're playing like this happy Jewish music and this song while they're partying at a wedding, and at the same time, we see the Germans launching their full-blown invasion, and it's really funny, and when they finally start invading, Stewie puts the yarmulke off of him and puts it onto Brian. That scene's really funny, and the music actually really goes hard on this scene, so it's definitely a fun moment. But the basic plot, there is no B-plot this time. I know, for once, there's no B-plot with Peter Griffin or Lois. No, instead, it's entirely in Germany, and it's basically Stewie, Brian, and Mort traveling all across Europe, trying to fix their time pad to get back to their present day, only to fight Nazis at every turn. And yeah, it's pretty funny. They do a lot of movie parodies. They do Indiana Jones. They do Back to the Future. I believe they even do Groucho in the Mirror when they bump into Adolf Hitler. I'm kind of surprised. It takes them a while until we see Adolf Hitler in this. Hitler doesn't show up until literally the last few minutes, which is funny because Hitler's like practically a recurring character on Family Guy. But yeah, they fight Germans, they steal a submarine, a lot of comical mischief. Brian and Stewie sign up with the UK Air Force because they realize they need to go back to Germany because Germany has uranium, which can power the return pad. This episode also introduced us to Stewie's time machine. Of course, the idea of needing a time pad to return is stupid. Yeah, but, you know, it makes the plot happen. Yeah, Stewie has a time pad to help him return back to the present, and the time machine is basically this old-fashioned machine you enter and it teleports you into a different period. The time machine would play an important part throughout most of Family Guy until the death of Brian Griffin, where Stewie completely dismantles it, so they couldn't reverse Brian Griffin's death. Only to, you know, reverse Brian Griffin's death like 2 episodes later. Yeah, modern Family Guy got pretty bad. Can you explain why Mort, who pretended to be a priest, was giving a speech? Brian and Stewie kept coughing. Okay, so they try to disguise Mort as like a Catholic priest to get him out of the German-occupied country, and Mort is accidentally brought in to give final passages for a dying Nazi soldier. They think he's a priest and they want him to pray for this dead Nazi guy, and Mort keeps saying Jewish lingo, Jewish phrases, and like breaks his character, and Brian and Stewie have to hilariously cough every time, hinting that he's going off character or exposing too much of himself. It's pretty funny. Jesus was killed by the he was killed by the Romans, and we pray for this poor Shmuel. This poor man. Yeah, it's really funny. And it's funny because the dead guy is the one who points out he's not a real priest. He's a filthy Jew. Oh man, you're gonna have quite the talk with your human resources guy. The Rick Moranis bit was a parody of The Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, I got that when I saw the female singers. They were dressed exactly like the singers from that movie. And Mort just says, "Will you two just get on the time machine already?" Yeah, so They managed to break into the Reich headquarters in Germany. They head to Berlin. They team up with Hawkman. That was a funny scene. Rise, my Hawkman. Tonight we dine on blood. Hawkman and the Thanagarians show up and they destroy German fighter pilots. It was a really funny out of nowhere scene, but yeah, they make it to Berlin. They manage to get a uranium tube from Mean Joe Green. Thanks, Mean Joe. Oh, he's not mean at all. Nah, he's really a nice guy. Then they bump into Hitler. They have this funny mirror moment, and Stewie, for some stupid reason, provokes him. They're almost killed unless what? Unless you can sing a charming musical number. Whenever. Damn it, will you two just get on the time machine? And yeah, no musical number in this episode. They just take the time pad back because Mort actually had a smart moment. Take them back to the present day already. They managed to escape Adolf Hitler, make it back into the present day, and then Stewie just kills time-traveling Mort. Yeah, that's how they resolve that time loop. Aren't you worried about Mort discovering everything? No, they came a few seconds before Mort Goldman entered the time portal, and Stewie shoves Mort back into the tube and blows them up. Yeah, Stewie destroys the time machine and Mort Goldman, and present-day Mort now remembers nothing and never experienced this. Can I use your bathroom? No. Too late. Yeah, he crapped in his pants, and that's the end of the episode. I hate when they cut away from the story for some bullcrap and Hitler juggling. But they did it again and Peter kills Hitler. There, see, we did have a point to this cutaway gag after all. Okay, so Road to Germany, yeah, it's pretty funny. I like this one. It's a huge step up over Road to Rupert. Has a lot of great moments, a lot of creative scenes. There's a lot of movie shout-outs. Seth MacFarlane was clearly a fan of Steven Spielberg movies, because it's all over this one. And Stewie pissing off Hitler, definitely a highlight. This one going on to S tier. The ending, not as funny as the carjacking ending, but it had its moments. So Road to Germany going on to S tier. Insert SS tier joke here. Alright, so after that, I believe came, which was it? Either the multiverse or the North Pole. We'll do the North Pole one. Alright, so Road to the North Pole. Stewie wants to travel to the North Pole to kill Santa Claus. This one might have go on to B. I thought it was okay. Yeah, might upset some people, but Family Guy did a Christmas special, and it has some great moments, but also some of that modern Family Guy humor seeping in and dragging it down. I will play it safe and put it onto B. I thought it was alright. Yeah, it's just alright. This is the first hour-long Road 2 episode. There are some funny jokes, creative scenes, and a lot of great dark humor here and there, but it's not one of the all-time greatest Road 2 episodes. There's also a lot of gross-out jokes, a lot of mean-spirited comedy, and honestly a really dark moment where Brian and Stewie try to play Santa Claus only to accidentally perform a home invasion. Sigh. Yeah, this one was definitely mixed. Okay, so there are good moments in this episode. There are funny stuff. I do find it a creative twist that we find out Santa Claus is actually dying. Santa Claus is tired from working on Christmas every year, 24/7 until the day he dies, and the stress of trying to give grand and big Christmas presents has finally broken Santa Claus. The North Pole is a complete wasteland. It's a total hellscape. All the elves are like deformed mutant freaks. They're like inbreeding and making more monstrous elf children. The reindeer have gone psychotic and become primal animals, and Santa Claus is literally dying. It actually has Santa Claus passing out from singing the song in this episode, and he can't perform his duties on Christmas, meaning Brian and Stewie have to save Christmas. And as you'd expect, they epic fail. Wasn't there a moment where Quagmire recorded Meg on the toilet, surprised that he didn't wait for Lois? Yeah, that did happen in Road to Germany. I'll just be a minute. Oh, come on, I gotta go. She said she'll be a minute. And, Quagmire's in the shower recording everything. It created a time paradox. Yeah, it did. Okay, so The problem with Road to North Pole is this is where Family Guy obsessively did a lot more gross out and dark jokes. Like, it opens up with Brian and Stewie going to the mall, and Stewie wants to meet Santa Claus, and he asks Brian, hey, Brian, you could convince Quagmire to give us cutsies. No, wait, Stewie, Quagmire hates me. Yeah, this was after Quagmire did that well-deserved speech talking about everything wrong with Brian Griffin, and Quagmire, hates Brian by this point. Brian tries to befriend Quagmire and convince him to help them, and accidentally insults his niece. He accidentally mistakes the niece for a little boy, but it turns out she has leukemia and she's dying. She's, completely bald and needs, brain surgery, I heard, because she has, a tumor or something that's killing her. Brian pretty much says everything wrong in this conversation, and yeah, it's supposed to be for shock value, dark jokes, but feels kind of mean. Dad, Uncle, am I dying? No, you're not. You're not dying. Nobody said you were dying. Santa's gonna come, and he's gonna give you that new brain. And, Quagmire, shames Brian Griffin. Well deserved, because Brian Griffin is a dick by this point, but yeah, it's kind of awkward and really mean-spirited. I know A Million Ways to Die in the West is no Ted, but I love the Back to the Future Doc Brown cameo, got a smile out of me. Yeah, that was a funny moment. Unfortunately, the Ryan Reynolds cameo I did not like because he just died. Surprised that during the opening musical that Peter wanted two girls wearing nothing but their socks. Yeah, Megan Fox and the other chick. Yeah, they actually do sing a lot of musicals in this one. There's an opening Christmas song, and it sets up the theme. Everyone is selfish around Christmas time. They all want things. They're all demanding these huge, extravagant presents. And Brian points out that, aren't you being a little greedy or selfish? Isn't Christmas about giving? And no, it's about getting. And yeah, you pretty much guessed the moral of this episode. Everyone's kind of selfish around Christmas, and it's literally killing Santa Claus and the North Pole. So Brian and Stewie wait in line after pissing off Quagmire. Then Santa Claus is quitting. He's leaving the chair, deciding that, yeah, he's done for today, even though Brian and Stewie waited for hours in line. And Stewie decides he wants to kill Santa Claus. He wants Brian to take him to the North Pole so Stewie can get his revenge. It is kind of funny where Stewie takes him to a theme park modeled off of Santa's village, and it's painfully obviously fake, and Stewie's not buying it. Like that when they meet the black elf. Why are there tall black elves in Santa's village? You know, it's from Hurricane Katrina. Yes. Brian, I have something to ask. Do you think I'm an idiot? He points a gun at Brian and threatens him. So Stewie actually goes all the way to the North Pole. A lot of funny scenarios. He accidentally kills a trucker with a flare gun. Brian follows him. They travel through Canada, and some Canadian guy gives him his snowmobile and his foot or something. They see the Borealis, Northern Lights. Really creative imagery. But when they get to the North Pole, we get our big twist. Santa Claus is dying. He's unhealthy. He's having trouble walking and breathing. He's really decaying. He looks like this gross zombie corpse. The North Pole is pretty much a hellhole because they're overworked. They're overworked on working on high-tech presents, extravagant gifts, and people's selfishness is killing them. Christmas time is killing us. Killing us! Christmas time is killing us. And they sing their musical number about how it sucks around Christmas time because everybody is selfish, everybody is overworked, and nobody is thinking about human kindness or giving Santa Claus a break. And Santa actually collapses singing this song, leading to Brian and Stewie deciding to save Christmas. Yes, Stewie realizes Santa Claus is just a pathetic wreck and not worth killing, but then actually feels sorry for Saint Nick and decides that maybe they can do what he does and save Christmas. And they instantly screw up. They're at one house for an hour and a half, and they turn a basic Santa delivery job into a home invasion. They crash the sled. They accidentally forget the gifts on the roof. They spill the milk and cookies, they get the wrong gifts, and the adults discover them breaking into their house, and everything turns ugly. They beat the dad to death, they take the mom hostage and tie up their kid, and then they realize they're at the wrong house. One thing that confused me is after the Aurora Borealis, there was a moment of a guy who was that. They said he's something Boreanus. It's like a pun off his name. Boreanus sounds like Borealis. So he's like one of the sky clouds up there. Okay. Yeah, it's like, it's some actor guy. I don't know who he is. Like, they call him Boreanus because Boreanus sounds like Borealis. Like, we need this clips for future Christmas review. Gotta find the right moment, Akira. That's always a big factor in it. This is just making fun of Teen Titans Go, second Christmas episode. Yeah, where the Titans are dicks and selfish around Christmas. Though Family Guy was a lot better at it. So, I will say this scene was actually kind of funny. I think the dark humor actually worked. Even though it gets kind of bloody, they bludgeon this family and lock them up, and they decide to abandon basically being Santa Claus. Stewie and Brian, epic fail at just one house. Brian, we've been here for an hour and a half at this one house. We gotta get the rest of the world. This entire street alone has 29 apartment complexes. Yeah, they realize they can't do it, that Christmas is hard. It is very hard delivering presents, being nice, and getting everything done in just one night. They realize Santa has had it hard. They feel like what it's like to be in his shoes, and Brian and Stewie basically give up, and Christmas doesn't happen, but Brian and Stewie do save the day by bringing Santa Claus to the public. They wheelchair a dying, life support ridden Santa Claus out on a wheelchair on the news programming where they said Christmas is killing Santa, that the world is selfish, that we need some restraint. We need to realize that Christmas is not about getting. Christmas is about giving. And if we don't learn from our mistakes, we may never have another Christmas again. Brian delivers like this soul-stirring speech about basically don't be a selfish jerk around Christmas time. Not as powerful as SpongeBob SquarePants speech, but yeah, basically the world learns that maybe we should just accept one gift a year from Santa Claus, that we shouldn't expect everything, that we shouldn't get. We should learn to give, basically, because they need to save Santa Claus and save the holiday. And Quahog decides that, you know what, maybe I can. Maybe I can just live with one gift. Yes, one is enough. If it means saving Christmas, I'm in. And we see Cleveland has a cameo. Alright, but I swear, if it's a gym membership, somebody's getting punched in the face. Yeah, so basically, actually a happy ending in this one. To its credit, it does have like a heartwarming Christmas ending. At the end, we see that everybody's receiving one gift, everyone's being selfless, everybody's fine with living with one Santa gift, and over time, Santa and the elves regain their health, and the North Pole is back in business. Alright, I forgot to mention, Seth MacFarlane's dad appears as the narrator, and sometimes he's funny, and sometimes he's just awkward. Easily the worst joke is at the end, he just burps and says goodbye. Yeah, kind of lame. I do love how he says, hey, I'm Seth MacFarlane's dad. Anyways, Seth came out of my penis so he could deliver you this great holiday special. I go to AAA. Yeah, that's right. They meet the weird Canadian guy. Also gives them their foot. Okay, so Road to the North Pole does have its moments. It does have a joke that works here and there, but it also has an equal amount of bad jokes, uncomfortable moments, and really lame humor from time to time. I just think the ending is actually a really nice touch, but not their best Christmas special. I do think the old seasons had the best Christmas episode. Family Guy's very freaking special Christmas. Yeah, that one was actually a really great episode where Lois goes nuts. This one, I'll give it a B. Not one of their best Road to episodes, but we're not at the worst just yet. It's going on to B because it is a very basic gift. Yes, it was his father. Yeah, that was Seth MacFarlane's father. I mean, he did say, anyway, Seth came out of my penis so he could deliver you this great cartoon. Yeah, that was Seth MacFarlane's dad, the old guy doing the narration. It's like one of the old school Christmas specials you used to see where some celebrity guest star would do like a narration segment. Yeah, Seth MacFarlane's dad came to do that. Okay, so yeah, Road to North Pole, going on to B. Not a big fan of it. It's not the worst Road to special, but it's also one I don't race to rewatch often. But next one is your favorite, Road to the Multiverse. And yeah, this one's going on to S tier. Freaking ad. Yeah, there we go. Road to the Multiverse. Yeah, it's good. It is pretty good. Brian and Stewie travel across the multiverse in different timelines, different dimensions, in different scenarios where the Family Guy cast lives in really weird parallel dimensions. Now, not gonna lie, it does start off kind of preachy, where Stewie wins like a fair contest for raising the best pig. He genetically engineered his pig to be super enhanced, and he reveals that, oh, I actually got it from a different dimension where they raise their pigs to be strong and fierce. And he shows Brian the multiverse, and yeah, a lot of crazy scenarios, a lot of fun stuff, and seeing Family Guy characters in really different lenses. It is a really fun one. The different multiverses alone make this episode worth it, absolutely. So, it starts out kind of preachy. They go to a world where Christianity didn't exist, and it's like this future Star Trek world. Everything's scientifically evolved, everything's better. Life is so good because Christianity didn't hold us back. Yeah, I wonder if Seth was going to also say that, oh, all the other religions don't exist here too, like Islam, Judaism, and Buddhism, all of which did also hold back scientific progress, but no, just Christianity because Seth MacFarlane's an atheist. But yeah, it starts out kind of preachy, but this world is kind of fun. I do love that they didn't paint the Sistine Chapel. Instead, they got the guy who stalked Jodie Foster to put photos of her on there. Really weird, and everyone's hot, everyone's healthy, people can live for like 100, it is great, but then Brian asks him, what are the other dimensions like? And Stewie apparently never checked other multiverses and dimensions, so he decides to take Brian out for a spin across the multiverse, and we see a lot of great parallel dimensions, a lot of great what-if scenarios, and alternate depictions of the Family Guy cast. Sorry, just drinking some water. A lot of the parallel dimensions alone make this episode so fun. They go to the Flintstones, they go to the Robot Chicken universe. Everyone loves the Disney universe. Yeah, Family Guy actually animated their world like a classic Walt Disney film. Look how gaily we run! And once again, a lot of quotable moments in this show. The moment we all remember is the Disney universe with the musical number. Yeah, we can see, it's a wonderful day for pie. It's a wonderful, wonderful day for pie. And we see all the Family Guy cast as either Disney characters or drawn like a Disney animation. Like Lois is Snow White, Meg is Ursula, Adam West is Mickey Mouse. We see Joe as Mrs. Potts. Basically everyone. We see like a lot of Family Guy characters as Disney icons or just drawn like a Walt Disney caricature. You want a nice shiny apple in that pie? No! And they pie Herbert, who's the old Dark Queen. Yeah, they almost stay in the Disney universe until Mort Goldman shows up. Hey everybody, Jew! And they beat Mort Goldman to death. Oh, that's right, we're in a Walt Disney story. Really funny. Okay, you saw Jigoku Sensei Nube. I still haven't watched that show, Akira. Wolf is usually the anime fan. Kenny Rogers was supposed to do this, but I think he's dead. He is now, rest in peace, but he wasn't at the time. The 13 in Season 1 finale is cool, and Mike Rokukubi from Return in Hatamo Return. Okay. Also, remember, Human Brian looks like Ferb. Yeah, the last dimension to go to is the one where dogs rule the world and humans are the pets. And Brian is a human, while all the Griffins are different dogs. Chris, stop licking yourself. And it's pretty funny seeing the Griffin family as dogs. We see a lot of different interpretations of them. I do love the Robot Chicken universe, because I'm a huge Robot Chicken fan. It's like, look, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Thundercats, and He-Man. Yay, those shows existed. How's it feel to be a part of a major network for only 30 seconds? Screw you! Bye! Yeah, I love seeing Seth Green made Robot Chicken and he had his animators work on this segment. I do love the Robot Chicken universe a lot. Though, of course, everyone loves the Disney segment. That's funny. It's funny and it looks really nice. Funniest universe was when they went to the one where everyone has to take a poop just now. Oh yeah, everyone's like trying to hold it in. Did you get those numbers in? I got them, but yeah, everyone has to hold in their poop. I do love where, oh, this is a dimension populated by only one guy who shouts compliments. I like your shirt. Thanks. This one was nice. Yeah, the compliment guy. There's a meta joke that stated that Disney doesn't make any Jewish movies, but there's a Disney Channel movie called Full Court Miracle. Yeah, this was based on the conspiracy theory that Walt Disney didn't like Jewish people and was a Nazi supporter. I'm not sure I believe that, but he did have, like, he hired a Nazi supporter to work on Pinocchio, and that also led to controversy. But yeah, Seth MacFarlane loves making fun of Walt Disney, up until they bought Family Guy, then those suddenly stopped. Why they didn't have a multiverse that have a cat universe? Sadly, no. Well, we also got to see the fire hydrant universe and all the gay guy universe. Love it, hate it. Love it, hate it. That was so funny. I think one of my least favorite multiverses was the political cartoon one, because they take forever, like, explaining the joke. It's like everybody looks like a political cartoon, it's all black and white and colorless, and Stewie takes a long time explaining to you what the joke is, and it just kind of stops the multiverse travel dead. It was really weird. That was like my least favorite multiverse. That was so funny. Surprised Robot Chicken hasn't made a Family Guy sketch. I'm kind of surprised too. You think they would, since Seth MacFarlane and Seth Green are best friends, but apparently not. Also, the line love it, hate it scene. Yeah, that was funny. I like when they went to the Flintstones, which is pretty funny to think about because Seth MacFarlane was going to do a reboot of the Flintstones at one point, and we see the Family Guy characters as them. Hey Peter, did you rock that rock last night? Yeah, I remember rocking you up the bedrock on the rock last night. Did you use your Profroggalactic? I'm riveted for your pleasure. Hey Bri, wanna get the rock out of here? Rock, yeah. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I'm kind of curious how Seth MacFarlane would have done a Flintstones reboot, but if you saw his reboot of Good Times, I do not have any faith it would be good now. The running gag about Seth Green is one of the better jokes, and it's a trap. Yeah, because they're always dissing Seth Green. I do love that that ended on them dissing Seth MacFarlane, though. Like, we get Buffy versus Daphne Blake fight. I hope we get Buffy punch Daphne Blake as Daphne Blake saying, "Wow, cool move. Ow, stop hitting me." That would be pretty funny. Okay, so the multiverse one, they basically check out a lot of parallel universes, alternate dimensions. I do also like the one where the Griffins became Japanese. They're like a Japanese family. If we never drop the nuclear bomb on Japan, the Japanese never quit. And America is now a Japantown. And we see Japanese versions of the Family Guy cast. That one was also pretty funny. They basically hop here. We see what-if scenarios, a lot of alternate versions of the Griffins, the Robot Chicken universe, the Disney universe, everyone loves that, the Ice universe. They eventually make it to a universe populated by dogs. It's a low-key parody of Planet of the Apes, but it turns out Poodle Stewie also has a dimension jumper. He can give them the multiverse key to get back to their own universe. They try to help them, but Stewie gets arrested for biting Peter Griffin right in front of Joe because Stewie's kind of dumb. But yeah, Stewie bites Peter in a fit of rage. "My name's not Gabe." He bites Peter, gets arrested by Joe, and taken to the pound, where he'll be euthanized. leading to Brian, an alternate universe, human Brian, and dog Stewie into saving Stewie Prime. They break into the pound, and Poodle Stewie sends them back to their universe, but human Brian wants to come with them. He doesn't like it here because he wants to go to a universe where humans are treated as equals. Human Brian looks really weird. They tried to shape him like our Brian, but he has like this really big nose. It is kind of off-putting, and as Akira pointed out, it looks like a Phineas and Ferb interpretation of Brian Griffin. Insert Big Hero 6 joke here. Stewie mentions that the Meg from the other universe is still considered ugly despite Meg looking hot, and said that Lois one was extremely hot. Your penis will need a wheelchair looking at her. Yeah, that is kind of funny. Curious what Lois would have looked like. But they managed to make it back to their leap. They leap all the way home. Regular Brian and Stewie are sent back to their prime time, but human Brian Griffin followed them. He did jump into the portal because he wants to find a life of his own. He makes it to this much better universe where humans are treated with respect. They all say their heartfelt goodbye and learn to cherish their lives. And then human Brian gets hit by a car. There's the Blocky universe too. Lois, where's my dinner? In the oven. When will I have it? Very soon. Yeah, 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 yeah. Let's go. Yeah, the weird Blocky universe. That one looked like Control-Alt-Delete's animation for some reason. The Blocky universe, pretty funny. They kind of spend like a few seconds in each multiverse, so not too much story happens until the final one where they go to the dog universe. Like, it's a shame that we didn't get a Lego, Minecraft, or Power Rangers multiverse of Family Guy. Sadly, no, but I assume that was because they were short for time, and they needed a plot by the final act, so they make it back in. I love that human Brian shows up, acts like he's important, and then just dies off screen. He's off to make a new start for himself, a clean slate, a fresh... Oh my god, he got hit by a car! Yeah, human Brian just got ran over off screen, and a lot of people pointed out this foreshadowed Brian Prime's death. I think that was kind of an accident. It was kind of a joke, but yeah, it was so hilarious after all this character development and him getting a happy ending, he just dies. We need Road to the Multiverse clip for a future review. Yeah, but I gotta find the right moment, Akira. That's always the key thing. I gotta find the right moment to insert these clips. But anyways... yeah, Road to the Multiverse, it is definitely one of the best Road to adventures ever, so I'm going to put it onto S tier. Alright, I gotta use the restroom, but I'll let you guys vote on what you want to see next. Final 3, Road to Vegas, India, or The Pilot. Cast your vote right now, I'll be right back. Damn ads. BRB. Alright, Cat's back. What do you guys want next? India, Pilot, like it's funny. Yeah, we might use a Road to the Multiverse clip in the future. Again, Akira, I gotta find the right moment to inject it. Okay, we'll knock off Road to India. This one, going on to D. Yeah, it sucks. It's bad. This is easily the worst Road to episode of all time. And sadly, it's currently the last one. Road to India. What's the plot and why do they go to India? Well, Brian Griffin falls in love with a girl he's calling on tech support. Yeah, Brian calls tech support, and of course, the call goes to India, where he falls in love at pretty random too. He falls in love with the tech support lady and realizes she lives in India. He talks to her all the time and realizes he wants to go to India to meet her in person. Yes, that is legit the sole reason why Brian and Stewie are traveling across the world and going to India. Brian falls in love after like a week talking with this tech support lady, and he wants to basically go out with her, hook up, and have his happily ever after. He travels across the world just to meet her, and along the way, Stewie points out how stupid and selfish Brian Griffin really is. Yeah, this one, full-blown Modern Family Guy, it's just not funny. It's not all that funny. It takes itself very seriously at points. The jokes do not hit as well as the early Road 2 episodes do, and Brian Griffin and even Peter Griffin are at their most unlikable here. This is stupid, selfish, egotistical Brian and jerk-ass Peter Griffin. There is a B-plot in this too, and it also sucks and isn't funny. Like no Kali or Shiva skit. What? Yeah. Don't know about the social media rumor, Akira. How many times has Brian lost love? Too many to count. It's pretty much a running gag at this point how often Brian dates, falls in love, and doesn't get the girl at the end. So, Seth MacFarlane started inserting a lot of his personal life into Brian, and it has made Brian Griffin a lot worse. This was definitely by the point where Brian Griffin became the worst Family Guy character, which sucks because Brian used to be so great. He was like one of the highlights of the Road 2 adventures. Here, Brian is a dick, he's a total shallow tool, and he's going to India to hook up with this girl he's known for like less than a few weeks. Like he's a dog and she's a human. Yeah, but the cartoon kind of overlooks that just to have this funny drama. They go to India, and guess what the joke is? Not really guess. That India sucks. Yeah, that's kind of the one note we ride throughout the whole half hour. India's like this shithole poor area. Everyone's like pooping everywhere. It smells. All the people are unclean and unhealthy, and there's a lot of poor people around. Yeah, a lot of racist jokes towards India. Brian meets the tech support lady. It would have been funny if it turned out that the tech support lady was this old fat girl like we thought it was. No, it actually is a young pretty girl. Brian finally meets her and inadvertently ruins her arranged marriage. Yeah, the tech support lady was going to be in an arranged marriage, and she realizes she doesn't want to marry this guy. She wants Brian. And Brian tries to prove himself for this girl, and it's very clear he is a terrible, terrible person who screws up at every turn. Brian Griffin needs to pay off her father because he invested a lot of money in this arranged marriage, and Brian and Stewie enact in a ton of harebrained schemes to try and make a quick buck. Brian definitely makes me feel better about my love life, lol. Absolutely. Like, that's the only reason why Brian keeps getting these failed romances. The B-plot is not much better. Joe takes Peter to the bingo hall because he wants to cheer Peter up and help him bond. They're like at a bingo hall at a community center, and Joe is like the most popular dude on campus. Then Peter steals his thunder and makes it all about him. Yeah, that's pretty much the extent of the B-plot. Peter Griffin basically becomes the new big man on campus and steals Joe's popularity, making the bingo hall all about himself and hyping himself up, and Peter Griffin is also an egotistical dick in the side plot. Yeah, basically, Joe gets crapped all over in this B-plot. Lois Griffin makes fun of him for being handicapped, and Joe and Peter are definitely not friends anymore. Peter is now just using him and abandoning him first chance he gets. Joe is treated badly all throughout this B-plot, and it ends kind of anticlimactically. How do they stop Peter's evil reign of terror at the bingo hall? Well, Joe tells Lois, and they try to convince Peter to give it back to Joe. Peter says hell no, acts like a dick, and then they just bring his kids with him. Yeah, all this hype, all the potential comedy moments, and Chris and Meg just tag along with him on his next trip to the bingo hall and annoy him. And it's not really funny. Peter realizes, he hates the kids, and he's giving it up, going back to being alone and jacking off to internet porn. No, that is what actually happens, yeah. Basically, the kids annoy him, not really hilariously, and Peter gives up and goes home. Stewie in an Aladdin outfit is a funny moment. Yeah, so the funny moments are kind of bad in this. There's a good joke once in a while, but not as good as the previous Road 2 episodes. A lot of misses in the comedy, a lot of characters are unlikable jerks, namely Peter Griffin and Brian Griffin. Modern Family Guy bastardized the Griffins horribly, and Peter and Brian absolutely stand out in this one. What? Like no Kali or Shiva skit? No, but we see Ganesha once. He gives Stewie a balloon or something. Brian's lost love so many times. Yeah, it's a dog and a human romance, but you're not supposed to think that hard about it. Let's not forget the ending where Brian gets attacked by the tiger. Yeah, that was actually funny. So, Brian basically tries to work several odd jobs. They help lure tapeworms out of people for a day, but Brian realizes he needs cash fast, so he joins Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Yeah, out of nowhere, the climax is a complete ripoff of Slumdog Millionaire because that was about an Indian guy going on a game show, and Brian is in India going on a game show. Brian goes on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and he epic fails at the first question. He answers Jiminy Cricket is one of India's greatest cricket players, and looks like a complete idiot in front of everyone. He fails to get the money, and the girl, are you ready for this? Breaks up with Brian because she realizes Brian doesn't know a damn thing about her culture, and that they were not meant to be together. Yeah, you kind of see it coming a mile away, and you know this relationship is doomed from the very start. They hooked up over a phone call. Yeah, the Indian girl basically tells Brian their love was not meant to be. She gives him a kiss on the cheek and thanks him for helping her break up with her arranged marriage, realizing that she did deserve better, but Brian is not that one. And I also did like this joke where Stewie actually makes fun of Brian. So, how does it feel to spend $8,000 and travel halfway across the world all for a peck on the cheek? Yeah, he definitely deserved that. Yeah, Brian shockingly doesn't get the girl, he doesn't get any money, and Brian and Stewie decide to pack it up and head home, but we end on a random Bollywood musical number. And yeah, by this point, it's only because the Road 2 episodes always have a musical number, and we have an out-of-nowhere Bollywood song. It's honestly not that interesting, not that good. It doesn't suck and isn't terrible, but honestly, it's very forgettable. It's not very energetic, and the funniest moment of the entire episode, Brian actually gives in and tries to sing a Bollywood musical, only to get mauled by a tiger. And that's how the episode ends. Everyone's dancing while Brian's getting viciously mauled, which I laughed at because he deserves. Even Scooby-Doo always never get a dog girlfriend for every episode in home direct movies. Yeah, but that's because Scooby's a likable dog. Brian definitely makes me feel better about my love life. He makes all of us feel better about our love lives. India hate hamburgers. Yeah, they kind of pissed off the Indians when Brian said he wanted a steak, and they're all pissed because cows are sacred to them. Wow. In the world of Quagmire. Ew. Surprised there wasn't a parody of a scene from the Temple of Doom where they made them eat weird food. Yeah, I was kind of surprised about that too, but no, they just joke about how Indian food makes you have diarrhea. Yeah, this was one I avoided, and by the sound of things, I'm glad I did. Yeah, it's a story about Brian Griffin's love life. They barely even travel the world. In all of these past ones, they're going to a lot of stops and misadventures, getting into wacky scenarios, interacting with colorful characters. Here, Brian and Stewie just take a plane to India, then bum around for a while as Brian tries to steal this girl who he doesn't even know that well. And they point out at the end of the episode, they were not meant to be, which, Yeah, you see coming a mile away, Brian Griffin is awful. He's never had a good romance because he's a jerk. And here, she calls him out because Brian never learned anything about her culture, who she is, and it was kind of a heat-in-the-moment love story, but she was thankful that Brian got her away from her arranged marriage, so now she can date whoever she wants, and that's kind of it. That's the sole victory they had, and Brian Griffin basically epic fails at life and everything, and gets mauled by a tiger. Yeah, you did not miss much, Shadowlink. It was pretty bad. Like I get Disney takes the Agrabah Palace look like the Taj Mahal in the Middle East. Like the worst episode of India by far. Okay. He almost did in Alien Invaders, but well, spoiler alert. Could we use Brian getting attacked by that tiger clip for any tiger-themed episode? Have to find one first. Anticlimactic and predictable. Yeah, they try to go for the feels that Brian and this girl didn't hook up, and Peter's subplot, entirely pointless, ends anticlimactically, and this episode also ends anticlimactically. Brian Griffin fails the first round of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, then his girlfriend basically talks him out of the relationship. Like India played cricket, the sport, not the animal. Yeah, the sport. Moments that annoyed me is how the father assumed that Brian had the money at this moment. Yeah, he has 129 on an Applebee's card. Of course he doesn't have the money. It's a shame we didn't get Road to Colorado, Paris, or Tokyo. Yeah, this one kind of killed the Road 2 episode arc. We did not get another Road 2 episode after this one, ending on a complete wet fart of a Road 2 adventure. It's Modern Family Guy. Disappointment was expected. It's why it's going down into D tier. Like no Spider-Man India, yes, it exists in the comics. Gotta wait for Spider-Verse Part 2. Well, I guess Miraculous is getting a Tokyo and Rio special. Ah, they're going to Rio? Okay. This Thunderbolts ad won't go away. Alright, next, let's do Road to Vegas. And this one, going on to B. Yeah, I'll put it above Road to North Pole, because there are moments I laughed much harder at, but yeah, it's another basic Road to adventure. Brian and Stewie go to Las Vegas. So, in a very bizarre start, they attend the gay pride parade. Yeah, that's just a thing they do. The family goes out to the gay pride parade, and Stewie wins tickets to a Celine Dion concert, and he wants to take Brian with him. I guess the parents don't care at this point that Stewie's going to Vegas alone, but yeah. Stewie and Brian go to Las Vegas, and they decide to use Stewie's experimental teleporter to save them money instead of buying tickets on a plane. But the teleporter goes wrong, and it accidentally creates two versions of Brian and Stewie. There's a Brian and Stewie who actually do teleport to Las Vegas, and a Brian and Stewie who do not. The teleporter does not work for one of the duplicates of Brian and Stewie. It teleports two of them to Las Vegas, and basically there's one lucky Brian and Stewie and one Brian and Stewie who are unlucky. One has a lot of good things happening to them, and the other pair has a lot of misfortune, bad stuff, and terrible things happening to them along their trip. Not as bad as India, but a bit odd. Yeah, so after Road to the Multiverse kind of, raised the stakes to impossibly high bars, Road to Vegas tried to get back down to earth, but also wanted to have a little fun with this one. I will say Road to Vegas has a creative premise. We're following two different Brians and Stewies. One that are having the best time of their life, and the other who are having the worst. They go to Las Vegas. One Brian and Stewie manage to get to see the Celine Dion concert, and the other do not because their tickets were already used. They can't afford a hotel. They can't win the slot machine. A lot of unlucky misfortune happens to them, and the other Brian and Stewie have the best vacation ever. I kind of wish it had a lot more funny moments, which is why it's down here on B. They try to take this premise very seriously. It's played straight for the most part until the ending. Like Las Vegas, the city of sin. Yeah, it's not as bad as Road to India, but it is slightly better. Also, Miraculous did a Clayface clone. That doesn't surprise me. It's funny because the joke is the first few questions on Millionaire are traditionally kind of easy. Yeah, everyone in India knows who the best cricket player was. Yes, Mr. Agrest episode made a Clayface parody. Yeah, I stopped watching Miraculous long ago, man. I treat stuff like that same as when he talks, they only really know when it's plot relevant. Like why Hindu goddess like Kali in anime so hot from the Fate series and Record of Ragnarok? Well, because we like making the gods as perfect peak as possible. Anyways, Road to Vegas, it kind of takes itself seriously, which is why it loses points. There's not as many jokes, and watching the unlucky Brian and Stewie suffer misfortune and bad stuff is just not fun. They get so desperate that they lose all their cash, and they go to a loan shark to give them money. They like bet it all on a basketball game, and spoilers, they lose because they're the unlucky Brian and Stewie, while the other pair are pretty much winning big in Las Vegas. They're making money, winning every gambling table, having good stuff thrown their way. However, at one point, they're like sitting at the same bar, and conveniently, they're on the opposite side of two different booths, and accidentally swap backpacks. The Stewies leave their backpacks together, and one of them has all the money they won at Vegas, and the other has basically their basic survival gear. They accidentally mix up their backpacks. Lucky Brian and Stewie walk off with the useless backpack, while poor Brian and Stewie walk off with all the cash. And unfortunately, they run afoul because they lost their bet, and they pissed off a loan shark, where the loan shark sends out a hitman to find them, and the hitman, of course, finds the lucky Brian and Stewie. Brian and Stewie, the ones that are having fun and are lucky, now get some bad luck thrown their way when the mob boss mistakes them for the people who wronged them, goes after them, and unfortunately, we see a lot of bad Brian Griffin. The mob boss holds them at gunpoint and gives them a warning that he's going to kill one of them unless they get the money, and they don't have the money, and Brian completely pusses out and says, "Oh no, kill him, he's just a baby, he won't even remember he's alive." Yeah, Brian turns into an ass and sells out Stewie, and lucky Stewie gets capped and dies. The mob boss threatens Brian Griffin that he'll be back for the money, and Brian Griffin is left with a dead lucky Stewie, now unlucky as he's shot. Meanwhile, poor Brian and Stewie are at their crappy Motel 6, they're strapped for cash and they're terrified the mob will be after them, and kind of randomly, bad luck Stewie says they should form a suicide pact and kill themselves. It's like they're gonna get caught eventually, so they might as well off themselves to avoid the pain of what they're gonna do to them. And they try to leap off their balcony, and honestly one of the only funny jokes, unlucky Stewie wusses out and decides no, he doesn't want to do it anymore, and unlucky Brian falls to his death. No, I changed my mind, I don't want to do it. You dick! And unlucky Brian dies, jumping to his death. Yeah, one Brian and one Stewie died, and unlucky Stewie finds the cash in his backpack, realizes that holy crap, they're loaded now, and he decides to buy his way back to Rhode Island. And the two duplicates of Brian and Stewie who are still alive meet each other at the bus station and realize what happened, that they accidentally made two copies of each other, and Brian and Stewie got one of the alternate duplicates killed. So now we're back to normal. There's one Brian and Stewie again, and they managed to pay for their ride home, and it's hilarious how they try to avoid giving the details on what happened to the duplicate they had. Oh, well, this mob guy came and he was gonna shoot us. I tried to take the bullet for you, but it missed and went under my armpit and accidentally killed your clone. Hey, what happened to the alternate Brian? He was going to kill himself. I did my damnedest to talk him out of it, but it just wasn't enough. He decided he was done. And yeah, Brian and Stewie are now back. We reset the status quo, and we end on a kind of funny, dark twist ending where alternate Brian and Stewie end up in heaven, and like they're super pissed at the other for killing them, basically. Hey. Really funny dark twist that featured God's fucking autocorrect. Like so many clones. Yeah, a lot of clones. Sorry, catch up on comments. Las Vegas didn't have a strip club. That was surprising. They did have hookers, but it was really, the hookers were trying to service a man who is really a bunch of squirrels wearing a human suit. Yeah, this episode was really weird. I do, since I can't see Ladybug as a universe buster, since she can't survive being crushed by a car. Cat Noir is a punching bag of the series. Yeah, that's kind of why I stopped watching. Cat Noir does not have equality next to Ladybug. Supernatural did an episode that fraudulently gods from lesser regions, basically trying to cash in on the apocalypse happening, which was the arc of its season, so you would need an arc knowledge, but yeah, so many clones that featured God's fucking autocorrect. So dark. Like, are there clones? Okay, so two of the clones are dead. There's one Brian and one Stewie who are still alive, and basically they become the prime Brian and Stewie. They go back to Rhode Island, finally away from their depths and safe, but in heaven we see the cloned Brian and Stewie encountering each other, and they're still pissed off that they got the other killed. Hey. Yeah, they're pissed because one Stewie got shot dead by a hitman because of Brian's cowardice, and the alternate Brian jumped to his death because of the other's cowardice. They ruined Kali. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Anyways, Road to Vegas, it's a basic Road 2 episode. The premise is very creative. It's much better than Road to India and the North Pole, but not by much. My biggest issue is it's not all that funny. It's not really that laugh out loud funny. The characters don't grow or learn anything, and we see basically the worst of Brian and Stewie by the end of the episode, but the clones idea is definitely creative and did lead to a lot of fun misadventures, but I'll put it on to be pretty much a basic Road 2 episode. But let's end on a highlight with Road to the Pilot. Yeah, I know it's actually back to the pilot. It's technically not a Road 2 episode, but it does feel like one, and we'll count it because we need a high note to end on. Alright, so, Road to the Pilot, I want to put it onto A or S tier. You know, I might put it onto high A tier at least. Yep, the final one. Technically, this is back to the pilot, but it started out as a Road 2 episode. Brian and Stewie go back to the first episode of Family Guy. So, long story short, Brian forgot where he buried one of his bones, so they time travel back to when he buried it, which was the first episode of Family Guy. And Brian and Stewie re-encounter their past selves and endure an adventure set in the original episode. Sorry, just drinking some water. Yep, the final one. The pilot, like even SpongeBob meets his pilot self. Yeah, SpongeBob ripped this one off, and yeah, this one was a pretty cool episode. Some misses in the jokes, which is why it's on A tier, namely all the future stuff, but this episode, definitely one of the good modern Family Guy episodes. It is amazing. Seeing the old animation of Family Guy, seeing them interacting with scenes that happen in the first episode, and even calling out a lot of their old animation and the weird stuff that happened in the classic era. This definitely was a fun time. I like Brian and Stewie meeting their past selves. I like the really trippy alternate futures they create. So Brian accidentally destroys the timeline and creates a darker future in Quahog, possibly the world based on what happens, and they have to go back to the pilot numerous times to prevent this bad time period. Well, it was fine. Okay, it was. The pilot, like even SpongeBob meets his pilot self. Like, wouldn't they break the space-time continuum? Yeah, they should, but no, instead they just created a darker future. So they go back, they find where Brian buried his bone, but Stewie tells him he can't dig it up now because that will create devastating consequences to the timeline. Then, they proceed to screw up events in the pilot. One of the funniest ones is they meet the Kool-Aid guy. Yeah, the Kool-Aid guy who jumps in during the courthouse scene. Oh yeah. Yeah, they accidentally ruin the moment he was supposed to jump through. Yeah, they go back to Peter's trial and Brian and Stewie stir up a conversation with the Kool-Aid guy and he misses his moment. He misses when to jump into the courthouse, and I do love the failed show up scene. Like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Everyone's still confused. Damn it, I missed it. You guys caused this. You guys caused this. And they accidentally ruin the future. Brian tries to prevent 9/11. He makes himself out as a hero, somehow records himself on those early recording cameras in really perfect resolution, I might add. And Brian stops 9/11, but this creates a dark period where George Bush resurrected the Confederacy and caused the Civil War II in America. Then, when they prevented the Kool-Aid Man from jumping through, they created a nuclear Armageddon, and everything's like drawn in like CGI animation now. Brian actually would have been too late to take credit for Harry Potter because the first book was published in 1997 or 1999. Yeah, so Brian screws up a lot. He like tries to give himself a brighter future. He prevents 9/11. He creates Harry Potter a few years before J.K. Rowling actually made the actual first book. He basically tries to make himself into a hero in present day, and that causes devastating consequences to the timeline, leading to easily the best scene where they have to go back to prevent themselves from going back to the pilot and cause a ton of alternate timeline and universe versions of Brian and Stewie to come out where they get into an all-out war. They're like all fighting in the pilot, the house area. We see different versions of Brian and Stewie, one where they're females, one where they're trapped in like a barbershop glass, and one like where they're British, one where they're elves, and so on and so forth. Like I'm a fan of the Kool-Aid Man. Oh, we all are. We love the Kool-Aid Man. Seth MacFarlane was scheduled to be on one of the planes during 9/11, but he missed the flight. Yeah, that's kind of why he referenced that. Seth MacFarlane was going to be on one of the planes during 9/11. He apparently got wasted and hungover and missed his flight. This inadvertently saved his life. And so he writes it that Brian Griffin was also supposed to be on that flight, but Brian Griffin rose as a hero and saved the day. Like, why didn't they stop Michael and Aaron making Teen Titans Go? But no. I guess they don't care. Fox wanted less competition. Okay, so I love Back to the Pilot. This one was a really interesting episode, and it's so surreal seeing modern Family Guy meeting the classic past Family Guy. This is when their animation was a bit more janky and off-model. They even poke fun of that, and I love that they reference Lacey Chabert used to voice Meg Griffin. Lacey Chabert voiced Meg for like the first 2 seasons, then she ended up quitting, and unfortunately, Family Guy got very bitter about this. They keep saying Lacey Chabert was the better Meg Griffin. Lacey Chabert sounds like she's someone who's about to give up the greatest career opportunity of her life, and basically shaming Lacey Chabert for not being a part of the Family Guy show. I think, honestly, she kind of dodged a bullet looking at Family Guy now, but yeah, it is pretty funny that they point out the old voice actors, how Peter used to have a gang of friends. Hey, who wants to play Drink the Beer? I do. Alright, you win. What do I win? Another beer. Aw, sweet, I'm going for the high score. Yeah, the millions of Brians and Stewies were the best part. Even for some reason, there's a Peter Griffin in the crowd. Don't know what I'm doing here. I was just looking for the can. Yeah, it's funny that a random Peter Griffin shows up with one of the Brian and Stewie pairs. They get into a fight, and Stewie manages to resolve everything. He tells them, alright, we're just going to do this. We're going to vote on what we should do. Should we allow Brian to interfere with 9/11 or let 9/11 happen? And they cast a vote with all the Brians and Stewies, and Peter votes twice on both, which was a really funny gag. But yeah, they decide, okay, we're gonna restore time, everyone get on your pad and go back to your present, we'll fix this all with one swing. And the Brians and Stewies all make up. I love that there's a dead Brian in the crowd that Stewie drags. They all return to whatever period they came from, and Brian and Stewie resolve this by basically copying the ending of Road to Germany. They pull out a gun and kneecap Brian and tell them, get back on the time pad, don't do anything here, just get lost and go away. And he's like holding their past selves at gunpoint, and Prime Brian and Stewie end up saving the day. They go back and don't interfere with the pilot, leading to them coming back to their modern time period. I'm trying to remember. There was there was a twist ending in this one. Yeah, they make it back. They saved everything. They prevented every devastating consequence to the future, except for one. Peter's now hanging out with his friends from the pilot again. Yeah, move over. We gotta watch the TV and drink, and they're drinking that group shot they had in the pilot. That was actually pretty funny. Unfortunately, it did not carry over. We don't see Peter's friends group ever again, but really funny episode. This was definitely the best one to end on. I heard Back to the Pilot was originally going to be the series finale for Family Guy, and looking back at it, it probably should have. But we'll end the Road to saga on a high note. This one is definitely good. I will put it onto A tier because there is some of that modern Family Guy stuff that seeps in. Not to a painful degree, but it's pure dumb fun. Like, how did the Cleveland Show get a show? Well, Cleveland Brown used to be one of their most popular characters, so they decided to give him a spin-off show, and Mike Henry got to do whatever he wanted, write his own stories, and write his own Family Guy-style humor. I actually love the Cleveland Show. I think it's one of the funniest shows ever, but it got canceled. Thankfully, it didn't go on too long like American Dad and Family Guy did, though. I don't know. This is life for some reason. Yeah, the weird barbershop glasses. That one was really trippy, but really funny. Yeah, the millions of Brians and Stewies fighting. That was the best part of the episode. Random Peter Griffin. Like Bloodlines came out on DVD, so Final Destination Tier List Round 2. Yeah, I have to watch it, but I've been saving that for October time. Shame that 90s show couldn't keep the momentum. It would have been funny to end on the gang watching Family Guy in 1999. It really should have. Yeah, Back to the Pilot really should have been the series finale. I will count it as the finale to the Road to episodes, because Road to India was a steaming pile, but this one, honestly, was actually one of the rare good modern Family Guy episodes. It was fun, it was creative, they actually went out of their way to keep the old animation and the new animation interacting with each other, and the climax was easily one of the funnest fight scenes the show ever did. All the multiverse Brian and Stewie showing up. And one Peter. But yeah, it is great. Back to the Pilot, I will give an A. Yeah, but Donna is like the only character they do anything with now. Yeah, Donna kind of became a main character on the modern Family Guy, and she's a lot more unlikable than when she was on the Cleveland Show. And no, I do not like that they replaced Mike Henry with an actual black guy voicing him, because he doesn't do a good job as Cleveland. Yeah. Okay, so back to the Pilot. I think we can all agree it belongs on A tier. Personally, I do think these four heavily outclass it, but this is definitely a high note to end on. Back to the Pilot definitely gets an A+. And as you can see, that completes our tier list. We did it. We did all the Road to episodes. Would have been a million years if we did every Family Guy episode, but hey, you can watch Ellis Mark for that. Well, it's done. Alright, yeah, I'll go over it one last time for any of you late birds showing up, or for those of you who click all the way to the end to see the ranking in full. Not too many episodes this time, none in C, but we do have a lot more good Road to episodes than bad. I would say at least 3 lousy ones. These 2 are basically just kind of underwhelming, but Road to India, that one was pure crap. This one was the worst Road to episode. Easily at rock bottom is Road to India. It's not funny, it's not charming, it's not likable, and it's another story about Brian having a failed relationship. Easy skip, this one killed the Road to saga. None in C tier, but in B tier, the okay ones, Road to the North Pole and Road to Vegas. These ones, kind of a mixed bag. There's actually some good here, which I do like, but an equal amount of bad and lame. Too much gross out in Road to the North Pole, and Road to Vegas actually had a lot more serious and dark moments. And not funny dark, just unpleasant dark. I'll put them on to okay, they were a mixed bag, but we do have a lot more good episodes coming up prior. Up top in A tier, Road to Rupert and Back to the Pilot. Yeah, these ones are fun, a lot of funny moments, some jokes that miss, and some of Seth MacFarlane's red flags of modern Family Guy do show up in these, but these ones are definitely more watchable. They're fun. They're pure dumb fun. Road to Rupert, definitely an interesting one. Has one of the funniest endings of the Road to universe. And love that Brian and Stewie relate while they're trying to get the teddy bear. Back to the Pilots. It is interesting, it is a multiverse story done right, it is crazy, insane, and is a love letter to everything Family Guy. Highly recommend it. Seeing the past animation and the new animation lineup definitely is a visually fun experience. And maybe we get a Zatanna tier list for Magic Week, takes place in the last 7 days of October. Yeah, we might have to, I love Zatanna. It is okay, Road 2. Yeah, I just wanted to do one last funny one before spooky season comes up. Alright, and in S tier, what are the top Road 2 episodes? Road to Germany, really loved it. Stewie and Brian fighting Nazis and getting into wacky antics. They even make fun of Adolf Hitler. That is definitely a highlight of Family Guy. This one, easily S tier. Road to Europe, yeah, it's a classic one. The adventure to Jolly Farm, traversing across Europe, and even the B plot, Peter and Lois go to Kisstock. All funny, very quotable. Some of the best jokes of Family Guy are in this episode. Road to Europe, easily my third place winner. Second place, Road to Rhode Island. This is one of my top 10 favorite episodes of all time. It is classic, it is funny, it's emotional, has a lot of iconic scenes, and both the A plot and B plot are solid 10 out of 10. Road to Rhode Island definitely is one of the top Road 2 episodes. But our number one, of course, has to go to Road to the Multiverse. Was there really any doubt? Brian and Stewie traverse the multiverse, get into insane scenarios, a lot of crazy jokes, a lot of unique animations and visuals, and Family Guy at its most unhinged. This one, easily the number one Road to adventure. Yeah, I might have to do a Zatanna tier list in the future. Magic Week, huh? Okay, I might do that, but we gotta do the Killer Croc one for Reptile Awareness Day. It's a shame they didn't do Road to Gotham. Well, especially now that Family Guy is owned by Disney. Are you a Family Guy watcher or an American Dad watcher? I actually enjoy both. I loved American Dad too. It's a funny show. Family Guy used to be my favorite, but it got bad fast. American Dad took its time until it got bad, but I love them both equally. But yeah, that completes my tier list. This take one last picture. This is my ranking in full of all the Road to adventures. If you can't see, Road to India is the worst one. Don't watch it at all. These two, you can watch them or skip them. Road to North Pole and Vegas aren't god-awful, but definitely more mixed. Though, these ones, the top 6 ones, these ones are worth watching. Watch Back to the Pilot, Road to Rupert, Rhode Island, Europe, Germany, and especially the Multiverse. You are missing out if you don't see Road to the Multiverse. That's Family Guy at its best. Bye, Kat. Bye, Kira. Bye, Run. Great video. According to a Kitty Monk video, apparently Adam West asked them to stay away from Batman references, but I've only heard it, so yeah, I can definitely buy that. I guess because it's too easy. Alright, so let's start wrapping up. Thank you for enjoying this tier list. What's our next tier list? We're going to do the Scarecrow and the Resident Alice tier list. Yeah, if you know what I'm talking about, we're going to do Resident Alice ranking and ranking on all the Scarecrow interpretations. Those will be in October, though. Yeah, I know, sorry, it's still a few days away, but want to quadruple down on all the horror-related tier lists. Next video, Wolf has recently released a new DC video. Highly recommend checking it out. Have some October surprises on Patreon. I'm currently working on another spooktacular special right now. Decided to take a break just to do this tier list, though, because it's the last time before spooky season. But yeah, I got a video in the works. Won't reveal what it is until it's actually done though, so don't bother asking. But yeah, I got another spooky tale for you. And Wolf, he's also working on another surprise. Wolf wants to do a Halloween special of his own too, so hopefully we'll see that again. Currently, our DC review is out. Go watch that. We reviewed Young Justice, one of the underrated episodes. Next tier list, gonna be all horror-related, all October-themed. Wanted to do this one before that time, though. Have a great day. Bye, Tails. Since I'm done, and I hope Wolf shows up for the tier list, I do too. But yeah, that pretty much completes our tier list, so let's wrap this show up and set you guys free. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or just tune in for more videos posted here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and I wish you a frickin' sweet day. See ya.